Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we publish world-changing wellness books. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This interview is part of a powerful series to celebrate Brave Kids Books, a new imprint from Brave Healer Productions. The mission, you guys, is to share brave words with kids and their parents and coaches and teachers all over the world so they can learn about all of the magic life has to offer. And here to talk about her book, Do Fishes Do Dishes, is Barbara Lezynski. Did I get your name right, Barbara?
Yes, you did, Laura.
Okay, good. Oh my gosh, you guys. So Barbara loved to read as a girl and always loved children. When she retired from work, she became a volunteer reader to preschoolers. And that is where dear old and befuddled Mrs. Scotchbottoms, the main character of all of her books, was created. So those preschoolers were her perfect test group. And you guys are going to be able to find Barbara on her Facebook page, Do Fishes Do Dishes. I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Laura. Me too.
So
Yeah.
tell me the story. How did this book come about?
Oh my, the last few years that I was working in corporate, I kept dreaming about writing children's books and then my love of reading and sharing my love of reading with children. And I couldn't wait to retire and start doing something. So then after I retired, I would lie in bed. I would go like, oh my gosh, what is this book going to be about? Animals, creatures, things like that. And just remembering what I loved about children's books. And then I volunteered at the Oakland Library and I read to preschoolers, and they're just going in to talk and read and do puppets and be with these children was just so inspiring. So this book is interactive because it's wonderful reading to children and asking them questions. And they go like, no, fishes don't do dishes, you know.
I forgot to ask you if you have it there. Do you have a show and tell book for us?
I do.
Oh, good.
I just
Show it.
happen to do.
Yay. Oh my gosh, that's
Yay.
awesome.
It is.
So you're talking about Oakland, California, right?
Yes.
Where I went to school and grew up. Yes, so we have that in common as well. Grew up in Marin County, Bay Area, and I went to Oakland for my physical therapy school. So Oakland is an amazing town.
It is and very crowded right now, but it is
Oh,
beautiful. Oh my gosh, I moved from New York City to Oakland and it was such a
oh wow.
transformation. Yeah.
I can imagine. Okay, so one of the things that I always wished I had a little earlier in life was a stronger connection to my intuition. And when I think about children's books and all of the different things that we could teach and model and talk about, this intuition subject comes up a lot for me. So how was that for you growing up?
I learned very early on not to trust my intuition. And I'm still learning to trust my intuition. I go like, there's another lesson that yes, trust that intuition, but it has a lot to do with being present and being here now. So studying Eckhart Tolle and the other spiritual leaders that are, teaching being present, and Rachel Jane Groover. And I think that really helps to be present and to trust that intuition. And yes, I think it's so important to teach children to trust their intuition because they are so present. When I was reading to the children, they would just be like, oh my gosh, they're just in their eyes. You could see that they are totally here now. So to
Yeah,
continue, that would be great.
and there's something about that, right? Because I think they are born present. They're doing nothing more but being in the moment. And somewhere along the line, I'm just talking about myself right now. That was lost somewhere along the line. It was lost in people telling me what I was supposed to be thinking and doing, and the different things I was being taught by all of the models around me, right? So then you get taught to let other people be your intuition versus that inner sense and that presence. Do you resonate with that?
Oh, most certainly. I do. Yes. Yes, it's somehow, I don't recall the exact process, but it's like an undercut that you didn't make the right decision. That was, yeah, oh, why did you do that? And oh, and it's constantly checking in with, yeah, and losing that touch with your intuition. Yes, I had
I
that same experience.
I tried as an older adult with my own two kids when they were little to
Mm,
have the conversations. And because I chose a path of healing and wellness as a physical therapist, those decades of learning helped me back to it. And you're right, it's a presence practice. I love Eckhart. I loved the whole Oprah series back when the New Earth came out. And I was like in that book club every single week. And I just loved that. It was one of my opening doors to awareness and what it even meant, you know?
mhm.
So that's been really cool to watch my kids, but listen to them and their ability to have the conversations is exciting to me because it's going to change the world to do that.
It is. You're absolutely right. So good for you.
So, okay, so another thing that happened with me watching my own kids grow up is I was always worried about doing the right thing, saying the right thing or the wrong thing, acting in the right ways. And I think great parents and grandparents and coaches and teachers, they have a certain amount of that kind of awareness. No matter how they were brought up, they're practicing another level of it with their own children. How do you think we can be better parents, role models for kids?
Hmm. I think by being present and by allowing the child to be and to make their own mistakes. I always learned best by making my own mistakes. So if I was told, don't touch that hot stove, then I'd have to touch it. So I think I think that is huge. And just I think the awareness that we're stepping into of having that ego overlay of, control and self-critic and judgment. And I think that we are lessening that self-critic by teaching our children to be love and to be loved.
The stove is a hard example, though, Barbara. Like, I want to save my kid from being burned, and I don't want them to make certain mistakes that might hurt them. How do you sort that out in your head?
Well, you are the parent, and I think there are things that you can teach your children. So, yes, don't jump off the cliff. You're not going to fly. Yeah. So, that's an important one.
Well, it's more complicated, right? When there's certain things that empowering them means allowing them to make the mistakes. And it's a fine line. I think it's a tough job being a parent.
Oh, it's a huge job. I just honor every parent who goes in, takes that step because it is the most difficult job. You have this tiny human being that comes out and totally, I mean, it's just a blank slate. There's such a beauty in it and such grace. So, yeah, kudos to you.
I think a lot about people who are serving children as well, because you don't have to be a parent to have that kind of attitude that you're talking about right now. And that beautiful awareness about who you are and what you're doing when you are in the presence of a child and reading them a book, and who you're being and the energy that you're bringing to the room when you do that. It's a big responsibility, right?
It is. I know. That's why when I was going into the library to pick books to read to the children, I'm going like, oh, no, 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 no. And so to have that creative spark, to have that energy, that energetics of curiosity and imagination, I think is getting lost. And so I think this is such a perfect time for you to, bring children's books forward. We need
Yeah,
them.
I think that, well, I think about other people that were in my life. So again, it wasn't just parents, it was coaches. And I guess I want to say to all of the role models, kids are listening, they're feeling, especially everything. And sometimes we don't realize just how much they know already. They're smart little cookies. They're wise, they pick up on things, right? And we think we have to treat them a certain way because they're a child. But I really believe that they're magical. They can be life's biggest teachers, those kiddos.
Yes, they are. You're absolutely right. Yes. Oh, so much. I learned so much from these children. They're so beautiful.
So, one aha moment on my journey was realizing all of those people that we've been talking about, the parents, the coaches, the mentors, they were all really doing the best they could in the moment with the info and knowledge that they had, the upbringing they had, the teaching they had, right? And in my own childhood, it took a while into my adulthood before I got to that love and forgiveness stage about a few things. And when you know better, you do better. So, like, I try to move into relationships and my own parenting with as much of that kind of knowing as I can. So, how did that play out in your journey with your own parents?
Forgiveness was a big part of it. I thought, oh my goodness, if my father hadn't been so strict, or if my mother hadn't been so loving, or I would have been kinder to my mother, because as a child, there are the things that really like, ooh, ow. And yeah, I think just forgiving yourself and having compassion for yourself is so important, because my mother was an angel. My father was the strict one. And if I went back and talked to them now, I would just love them. So,
It's we think about all of these things in retrospect, and I think part of that mission for me is as we learn and grow through the presence you mentioned earlier, through the awareness, we help our children evolve, and we help ourselves. The healing that we do goes in both directions, to the kids and then to the parents, and those generational kinds of ways that we heal. It's lovely, profound, really.
absolutely. I know. And we've been thinking of opening a retreat center here. And my vision is to include the children,
Mm.
to have them play, to read to them, and to bring them as a community together. So it would be awesome.
So what else do you want to tell me about Do Fishes Do Dishes?
Ah,
Tell me a little bit more about it. What's the theme? How are we going to play in the sandbox with you with this book?
oh, well, it is just I just love, well, here you have the cover, which says Do Fishes Do Dishes, which I love, the best illustrator ever. And then the back, which I also love, the turtle with the dishes. I mean, there's a sweetness to it. Um, I think it's just a great book to pick up and read to your children and ask them questions. And what was interesting when we moved here to the southern coast of Oregon, and I read to a small group of children, and I was talking about whales and seals, and they said, "Yes, we see whales all the time." And yeah, I don't know if they, do they have sails? No, they don't have sails. And so I think just reading to your community, but also to children who are not near the ocean and don't have a familiarity with the ocean, because this is such a huge world. And there's so much out here, to experience and to see. And so I think just take the journey to the ocean with Do Fishes Do Dishes.
I love that so much. Well, you're just making me think about people who don't live near the ocean, and kids who never have the perspective that some do because they're local to it.
Right. And then we have people who are visiting our bed and breakfast here, and they said they run to the ocean. They run. They said, I've never seen the ocean. So that I know, and I get goosebumps off that. Yeah.
Oh, tell me more about your B&B.
Oh, yes, that was when we bought this property. It was a fixer-upper. So we said, oh, well, let's start a bed and breakfast on top of that. So we did, and we're on Airbnb, and it's just taken off. And so we have a little guest cottage, and it has access to this beach, and we have like 168 steps down to the beach. So the youngins go right down there and come dashing up, and they're like gazelles leaping all over. And then we have some beautiful, beautiful younger people that are just getting out of college who are stopping by, and we're, just allowing them to be here with the ocean, which is so healing.
And where
So
are you?
we're in Brookings, Oregon.
Brookings, Oregon. Okay. I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I don't think she mentioned where this is. Sounds like a beautiful haven. So they can find you on Airbnb.
Yes, it's called Coastal Cliffs.
There we go.
Yes, we're like 127 feet above the ocean. We have this
Wow.
huge, huge, expansive view of the horizon, and just to feel the ocean and see the ocean is huge. And the birds. I love the birds. Next book, I think, is going to be about birds. Ospreys.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. Ospreys catching their dinner, and the seagulls coming by, and the turkey vultures. And it's just, yeah, it's just magical.
I'm a bird gal too.
I,
I love it. Feathers and the big birds are the universe signs for me. And so they're always guiding a path for me. That's always a little nudge, a little wink from the universe when something like that shows up, just to tell me, you're cool, Laura. You can keep going on this path. We'll love the birds. So Barbara, let's wrap up with this question. What do you think the most important message we can share with kids is right now?
Oh, to be who they are, to be just to be present. The most important thing is to the joy, the laughter, and their imagination. I think really and that's the do fishes do dishes. I think is really, asking the questions that maybe they are so, you get squelched down with, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so inquisitive, maybe I shouldn't be so curious. And I think that is a huge part of being a child, is to be curious and to be open to everything. I think that'll be helpful in the long run.
And of course, you and I both know that these messages are for their parents and for all of the people that influence them as well. And we're squelching that curiosity. We don't do them any favors. Those kinds of things moving into adulthood are what make amazing humans. And so, with the kids around you, to foster that joy. Yes, I
I
heard that.
know. Yes. And to bring back art and music into the schools, to have them draw and to be creative out of, just a crayon and paper is huge, to have their
Yes.
own ideas.
Yes, yes, yes. Barbara, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world with this book and for being here today to share it with everybody.
Thank you, Laura.
So listeners, please explore those show notes down below. And we mentioned Barbara's Facebook page. You also have the Amazon link for her book down there, Do Fishes Do Dishes? I love the alliteration. It always twists my tongue. I love it. And maybe you guys know a kid who needs a Brave Kids book, right? So explore Barbara's world. Check out the B&B. I can't wait to check out the B&B. Oh my gosh, it sounds like heaven. And to chat about your Brave Kids book idea, please visit us at bravehealer.com. The publishing team is ready to chat with you, and we cannot wait to bring your beautiful vision into the world. Lastly, today, remember, you were born so you are worthy. Your message matters, and you'll change the world when you're brave enough to share it. See you next time, everybody. Thank you, Barbara.
Yay.